Good morning. This is Vito with Avitano. Hey, I actually had this scheduled for 9 p.m. on accident today. So if you see that, I'm actually going to cancel that once I'm done with this. So I'm recording this for just because I need to get this done. I had this in the back of my head. We got back from Florida a couple of weeks ago or a week ago, and now it's like, come on, let's go. And I wanted to share with you some of my findings, figure out a little bit what we're learning, what we learned from our trip to Gulf Coast. We have no intention of moving anytime soon. Maybe in the future, who knows? But our main point was to learn a little bit more about investing opportunities. And, I've always been taught that you have to buy your residential investments close by within an hour. And for the most part, that's true. In our past, some of the mistakes we made was doing property management from afar, and we kind of fell on our face. So when we do have properties, we actually only have one rental property right now, but when we do have properties, we hire a professional property manager, and that's kind of what we're doing. We went to the Gulf Coast. Cape Coral is where we stayed, and I want to kind of go through the pluses and minuses, or versus, not really pluses and minuses, because that's really up to you to decide if it's something that you want to learn more about and obviously go and check out. I recently got my broker's license in Florida as well as California, simply because if we're going to do some investing in Florida, not sure exactly where, I'll have that opportunity to be able to use my broker's license. So Gulf Coast, and this is going to be the thumbnail you're seeing. I just made it, so I wanted to show it off a little bit. Gulf Coast is a huge part of Florida living, from Pensacola up in the north all the way down to Naples and a little bit down below. We didn't go that far up to Pensacola. The furthest I think we really went was Venice. So let me get you a little map real quick and we can go through it. And so you can see where we were. My wife picked an amazing house right at the very tip of Cape Coral, which I had no idea what Cape Coral was or what have you. But you see this little middle finger right here, this little hand giving you the finger right here. Our house was right there. There's an Airbnb or VRBO that we rented there. And guys, that's how close you are to the Gulf. It was awesome. It wasn't right on the Gulf like this. Those are $3 and $4 million homes. There's a couple here that are under $1 million that are like that you need to tear down. But for the most part, the reason why Gulf Coast, or especially Cape Coral, is important to me doing my due diligence is I think it's overinflated. The pricing there has been just massively overinflated over the last few years. And people are asking and getting the numbers that they want. I think that if you look at the entire city on Realtor.com or wherever, you'll see that there's over 1,000 single-family homes for sale right now. And Cape Coral is not a huge place, right? So when we were there, we actually stayed in Cape Coral, but we spent some time at Fort Myers. We went to this island right here, which is Estero Island, I believe. Fort Myers Beach. We went swimming there and swam with the stingrays, which was pretty cool. We did this Cybele Island, and we did all sorts of little fun things. Went to Space Coast, watched a rocket launch, went up to Disney World and hung out at Disney Springs for dinner, and then drove back. So we did all sorts of stuff. Went down to Naples and up to Venice and checked out a lot of different areas, Bonita Springs. In my opinion, this place, if the market crashes, which I hope it doesn't, but you have to be prepared for everything. This is going to be a prime spot for great investments. So let's do some plus and minuses, or the verses that I was looking for, kind of, loosely, not really having a plan. Just I went there to observe. And in the morning we went, while the kids were asleep, Jill and I went and drove to different places and checked out different areas for investment purposes. We're looking at land, we're looking at new developments, we're looking at new builds, older homes, and different areas where the growth was coming. So that's really what we were looking at. But these are my observations. So obviously the weather, it's a little warmer, a little more humid, but right now, this is June 24th that I'm recording it, and the last few days have been pretty nasty here in California. So, you get hot days here, you get hot days there. It's hot and muggy there, so it kind of melts on you a little bit. That's the big difference. But in Cape Coral, you're just a few minutes away from the beach, and you can actually swim in the water there. It's not hot and muggy. It's actually like bath water. The size of Florida is about 2/3 the size of California as far as distance and length goes. So Florida is 440 miles, 447 miles top to bottom. California is 770 miles top to bottom. So it's relatively, it's not as long of a journey. So you can get to different places. Like it took us 2 hours to get to Space Coast from the Gulf Coast. And Space Coast is Atlantic Ocean, etc. And I've been to Florida multiple times, been to Orlando multiple times, been to not Jacksonville, but on that side, in that area, Flagler County. I have a friend that lives over there. It's pretty amazing. That's a great town, Flagler Township. It's right on the water, great people, very cool. The highest point in Florida is 345 feet above sea level. And I know that everybody's saying that Florida is going to sink one day. But I think that's tens of thousands of years from now. And obviously the highest point in California is Mount Whitney, which is 14,500, something like that. Water issues. It rains in Florida all the time, so you don't have that issue. As a matter of fact, I understand that it's illegal to divert rainwater from your gutters into a cistern. You're supposed to go into the water so that they can collect it. People do, but they don't have water issues like what we have water issues. If you've looked at Shasta over the last couple of years, Lake Shasta, if you've looked at any of our reservoirs here in Northern California, in the Bay Area, you'll notice that we're losing water by tons of gallons every day. It's crazy. And we don't have enough rain here, which is an issue. Water is not an issue over there. Homeless. Now, granted, I didn't go to Tampa or Miami. I did go to Orlando, but Orlando is a whole different world. It's all managed by Disney, so there's not a lot of outliers allowed. Didn't go to Jacksonville. I was mostly in Cape Coral, Fort Myers, etc. And it's warm there, but there's not a lot of homeless. There are homeless in Tampa. I don't think it's to the degree that we have, because apparently we have better weather, but we also have better better support for homeless, for, the Obama phone and the healthcare and food and supposed shelter. So we have more homeless here than I think every other state combined. So that's kind of a problem with us. Gas. Now you're like, oh yeah, gas is so much cheaper over there and everywhere else in the United States than California. Well, there's pluses and minuses to that, right? So gas, when we were there, it was $4.70 a gallon. Here it was $6.70 a gallon. So I know it's come down a little bit since then, but fluctuations. The offset is that there's a lot of toll roads. On the East Coast, there's just a lot of toll roads. So in California, we pay a lot more money towards taxes. So I think we have 51 cents or $1 something towards taxes for every gallon that we put into our tanks, which, we voted for, but a lot of that was supposed to go towards paying for the roads. which is a great segue into the fact that our roads, whether it's the city, the city streets, an expressway or a freeway, they're all kind of torn up. They are very bumpy. They're not smooth. They're filthy. They're littered with, dirt, litter, and they're not very well kept up. Whereas if you go to Florida, pretty much everywhere you go, I'm not going to say it's perfect because there's no such thing as perfect, but at the same time, you're looking at homes. I mean, you're looking at streets that don't like ruin your shocks, right? And they don't have graffiti that you see. Even downtown Fort Myers, we went down through Martin Luther King Boulevard. And if you ever go to a Martin Luther King Boulevard, you're in kind of a rough area. So, lock your windows and keep moving. We saw that. It was clean. Fort Myers downtown is clean. It's not perfect. Yes, there's litter. And I'll guarantee you, everywhere you go, you will see litter. It doesn't matter what city, state, or what have you, you will see litter. But people pick it up. When we went to Bonita Springs, we were driving around and I saw the city gardener get out his golf cart and he stopped to pick up a piece of trash. It's in the mindset there. People pick up trash. So it's a cleaner environment. I go to my park here and I walk my dogs, and every other day I have to bring out my bucket and my little picker upper and pick up trash, which, I don't, because it kind of gets aggravating. People here just tend to not give a crap. Where over there, they do care. They want to live in a clean environment. And I know that people point fingers, say it's not me, I never do it, but it's the same thing, right? Property tax. We're going to talk about income tax in a minute. It's about relative. So property tax. It's one huge advantage that we have here in California, especially with skyrocketing price tags of our houses, is we have Proposition 13. The property tax is relatively the same. It's about $1, 1.25%, depending on where you go. Now, in California, Santa Clara specifically, I can tell you that the law states that it can never go over 0.79. That's how we voted it. We can always vote to increase that, but there's also, there's right now it's 0.79. But we also have ad valorem, special assessments, this and that. It comes out to 1.25. That's the way it was designed. That's the way we voted for it. We have special things to pay for. Our roads, our schools, and all sorts of different things. So it's about 1.25% plus or minus, right? That doesn't include Melrose tax and all this other stuff for special developments and new builds. So it's other things that you have to take care of when you're thinking about it. So it's about the same thing in Florida. When you're building, they have special assessments. They have, it's about $1.25. It's about 1.25, depending on where you go. Sometimes it's a little bit lower. And to my knowledge, they don't have anything like Proposition 13. Now, if you don't know what Proposition 13 is it locks your assessment in at your cost basis, which is what you paid for it. If it's $1 million, it's $1 million. You're paying 1.25 divided by 12. That's your property tax. Every month you pay that property tax. And every year you're guaranteed an assessment of only 2% max. Right? Sometimes it's 1.5%, sometimes it's 1%, depending on the economy. But every year your property tax will go up a max of 2%. That's Proposition 13. And believe it or not, that's actually a huge, really, really good thing for Californians. There's no other city, no other state in our union, in this great country of ours, that offers Proposition 13. Florida especially does not have that. I don't know of any kind of special doctrine or rule saying that will halt at a certain time. I know in Texas that if you're over 55 or 65, once you reach that age, your property tax assessment stops, it halts. So whatever that money, that cost is every year, that is your same assessment every year. And that's, I think, called homesteading. I'm not a realtor in Texas. I don't know the rules there. So you want to talk to a Texas person, a realtor, and learn all those things. Income tax. Nope. Just not. There's no income tax. in Florida. There's upwards of 14, 16%, and they're even trying to make it more expensive in California. Now, there's pluses and minuses to each thing. There's all that money goes towards all this special issues towards different organizations that helps provide for other people, all this other stuff. However, in Florida, there is no income tax. Again, it's offset by higher property tax. When your prices go up, you're paying more, right? Cost of living is a lot less, so minimum wage is a lot less. Now, I think it's $10 an hour versus our $15 or $16 an hour, but over the next 5 years, it's going to go up $1 every year. So that will bring Florida up to parity, I guess you can call it, to become equalized with the rest of the states. However, everything being the same, you're now paying the same thing for a house in Florida. Your gas price and your toll roads kind of equal out. So everything being equal, that's the one thing that kind of flips it over and makes it a little bit better for you. So there's no income tax. It's nice. Food, you go to Publix down there, which we went to multiple times. That's like a Safeway. Publix is like Safeway to me. As a matter of fact, they have Boar's Head deli meat there. I mean, it's almost like the same thing. So it's about the same price for whatever, for milk, for, eggs, for whatever. It's about the same cost. Restaurants are about the same thing, right? We went to this thing called Duffy's. I liked it because it was like Homer Simpson had Duff beer. It was a really cool little restaurant, like a little family hangout, kind of like a lower end Buffalo Wild Wings, not as, crazy or loud there. It was a little quieter. Same food, same everything. Great people, about the same cost for a plate or whatever it was you were buying. We didn't go to fancy restaurants. Well, actually, when we were in Naples, we went to a nice restaurant, and it was a little more expensive, and it's about on par with a nice restaurant here in California. Again, roads smooth. There's not a lot of, shock-breaking roads like we have here. Like you go from 101 south to 85, and your car launches into the air because it's just, I have no idea why Caltrans doesn't fix this type of stuff, right? I do. No, but that's another topic. Yeah, toll roads again. So toll roads. Right here, we can go into this real quick. Go this right here. This bridge right here is a toll road. I know you can't really see it, but this bridge right here is a toll road. This bridge right here is not. I think this is free and clear, but once you get into the main cities, like Tampa over here, it's a toll road. And if you're an agent watching this, please correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know everything about it. Actually, Tampa's up here. So up here, there's tolls. There's tolls over here. There's tolls. It's not crippling, but it's there, right? So it kind of puts you on parity with the differences in less cost for gas. I guess that's a good way to say it. All right. Business friendly. I've run my business for 20 something years now, and I can tell you that running a business here, there's a lot of great things. There's a lot of more difficult things doing business. And more, I see big businesses leaving California for other states. Florida is one of them because they're very friendly with businesses. They want to attract businesses because that only helps them. California is kind of in a quagmire of needing more revenue to do what they're going to do, etc. It's just the way it is. And it's not political. It's just the policies in place. And I've said this before, 200 years, 150 years ago when we incorporated, we put in a set of rules, and then we made another set of rules and to make everybody happy and make it easier to live. And next thing you know, we have decades and decades of rules, of policies that make it very difficult to make things easy to do anything in California. Try building a house, right? It takes 2 years to get started. It's just the way it is, right? You do anything with the city or for the city, it's 4 times the cost. That's just the way it is. You know, you have to be licensed. You have to be. It's very regulated here versus over there. It's a little more free flowing. Quality is still required, right? It's all that stuff. And you know, I can tell you that they're very conscientious of environmental things as well. There, they have issues with water. You know, water inundation because they're on the coast and they have salt water and fresh water mixing instead of, you know, our animals that we protect, the protected, you know, tortoises down in the desert, etc. They have a burrowing owl, and they tend to lay eggs in vacant lots all over Florida, and that's just what they do. So if you have an owl on the land that you bought, you have to wait until they're done raising their young, and then they move off, and then you can start building. So, you know, they're environmentally conscientious as well. Street lights. It seems like, you know, in California, there's no rhyme or reason how they do the timing. I often feel like they time it so that you're always waiting at a stoplight. But that's just, you know, my conspiracy brain. In Florida, your streetlights seem a little bit longer. And when I say a little bit, it feels almost like it's 30 seconds longer per stoplight that you hit. And I don't know what's going on over there. I think maybe they do that on purpose. Again, I'm just from my point of views, right? What I observed, people like to drive slow in the fast lane over there too. There's a lot of slow drivers. Housing, I'm sure you're really interested in that. So I live in San Jose, where you cannot buy a house. Well, you can buy a house for under $1 million, but it's not going to be that great of a house or that great of an area. You can buy houses in Florida, and I'll specifically say, you know, Cape Coral. I always say Coral Gables. I always say Cape Coral. You can buy a house for $300,000, right? It's going to be smaller. It's going to be older. It's going to be a little bit more beat up. Not going to be in the best area or the most favorite area. You know, like I can tell you specifically that Cape Coral. Sorry, I keep clicking on the wrong one here. Cape Coral is squared off in grids: northwest, northeast, southeast, southwest. Bottom here are the most favorite. This is where all the growth is happening. I'll tell you straight up, this is where all the major growth is going. If you're an investor, this is where you want to be. This is where you want to buy property, land grants, etc. And over here, this is older Cape Coral, very well designed. All of this stuff in red is fresh water, and all this stuff in blue is saltwater. Saltwater water that's navigable, meaning you can take your boat from your house to the Gulf. Far more expensive. So you get up here, that's not super navigable. You can't get out to the coast. You can buy a house for $300,000 here. You can also buy a house for here for about $3 million. So there's a whole foray of different types of houses and full spectrum, different houses you can buy. So there's that. I was pointing. Yeah, okay, good. Let's see. People tend to be a little more friendly there, but we're on vacation. So everybody's, you know, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, everybody's happy. Here, you're kind of in the same zone, but still, you know, when I'm walking my dogs in the morning, I'm the weird guy that waves to everybody and says hi to everybody. A lot of people just ignore you here. Over there, they're looking at you, waiting to make eye contact so they can say hi. And that's the difference that I noticed. Again, I was probably emanating a little less protective stature. Probably had a smile on because I wasn't working or what have you. Disney is about 2.5 hours away because, you know, here in Northern California, we're about 6 to 8 hours away if you're going to go to Disneyland. And I've been to both. I've been to both Disney's here, and I've been to Tokyo Disneyland. By far, my favorite is Disney World, mostly because it's just further spread out. It's not as tight. There's still a lot of people. They still pack them in. But when we went many, many, many years ago, when the girls were still in high chair, car chairs, or it was just more relaxed, more enjoyable for me, mostly because it was new, because I've been to Disneyland a few times. Disney World was brand new. There you go. Ocean water, much warmer. It's like bath water versus sitting in an ice tub. And there's nothing wrong with an ice tub. I know people that actually go up to San Francisco on the weekends and they swim in that water, which is not something I prefer to do. Just not me. When I was in the Marines, I was in Okinawa, and I went scuba diving all the time because the water was like bath water. It was warmer. It was 89, 90 degrees, or 85 to 90 degrees, really warm water. You can be in it all day long, not even think about it. Yes, there's wildlife. We were swimming with stingrays. Pretty cool, except for the fact that one of my daughters saw that and jumped up on the water and ran on water off to the beach, and she just absolutely had nothing to do with the water for the rest of the day, which was funny. Net migration. Now, this is, depending on your point of view, a good thing and a bad thing. Net migration out of California, because the cost of living is super high, right? And the average American, I talked about this a couple of days ago, the average American just doesn't want to afford to pay $1 million plus for a house. They can go somewhere else and buy a house, right? So net migration out of California was 277,000 people last year, 2021. 277,000. Net migration for Florida was positive 259,000, right? So this is the reason why this is important to me, because I'm looking to invest in Florida. Well, as supply increases and demand stabilizes for California, which means prices might settle. In Florida, I don't know if prices are going to settle. I don't know if prices are going to withdraw, even if we go up to 9%, because people continue to move to Florida because it's still affordable to live there. Florida's not the only option. There's 48 other states to look at, right? So that's kind of where we are with that. I'm at almost 30 minutes. I've gone through my entire verses list. I hope this was helpful. Again, if you want to learn more about investing and buying property, etc., subscribe to my channel, and then we can have a little bit more conversation about what your needs are, what your questions might be, what to look out for, different areas. This is one of many areas that we're going to be looking at over the next 4 years, 5 years. We really don't know where we're going to settle on investing again. But you don't know, right? If the market crashes tomorrow, this is going to be one of the spots I go to, just because I know it now, right? I spent the time, I did the due diligence. I talked to developers, I talked to builders, I talked to real estate agents, I talked to people in the permit department. So I did my due diligence, and I feel very comfortable with the growth is here. If you want to learn more, let me know. I'll be happy to help you out, introduce you to the right people down there, and talk to you a little bit more about it. All right, we're at 30 minutes. I'm Vito Scarnecchia with the Avatano Group, powered by Compass. We'll see you out there.